So growing up for me was a little bit different than, the average person, I feel like, in Utah. My father struggled with prescription pill problems, pain pill problems, and alcoholism for 16 years of my life, essentially. When I was 6, that's when it first got really bad. I just remember, my dad acting really weird and him being gone a lot, my mom being very emotional. And it just really impacted me, and it really hurt me, and it scarred me. Just being 6 years old and seeing your parents fight, and seeing your parents, I knew there was something wrong, and it was frustrating to me because I didn't know what was wrong, but I knew something was wrong, and that was a big struggle for me when I was 6 years old. And my parents were separated for about 6 months, and I just really, really struggled to know. I didn't know what was going on. I was confused why I'd see my other friends and like their families just seemed perfect. And then I'd go home and my dad wouldn't be at home, or I'd go and stay with my dad and my mom wouldn't be there. And I just wanted our family to be together, and I really struggled. And so eventually my dad cleaned up his act, and for the next 10 years everything seemed okay, but I still had that fear at the back of my mind that things would happen again like I was 6 years old. And my dad was still struggling, but he was pretty low-key about everything, what he was going through. He hid it a lot, and so he still would attend church with us, was going through the motions, but I always could kind of tell something was wrong, and I always was afraid. And then I remember this was in March of 2013, is the night that I found out that my father was arrested for a DUI, and that really affected me and that really hurt me. I really was torn down and really struggling and just thinking, no, my worst fears come true. My worst fears come true. Everything came back from when I was 6 years old. And it was really, really hard. Very hard, that time of my life. I felt very alone. And I remember praying one night, and I was just expressing my feelings to God. Just why God, why our family, why me, and all these things. But I felt that night the love and the comfort of our Savior Jesus Christ, because Jesus Christ knows us perfectly, and He knew what I was going through, and He knew me perfectly, and He knew the sadness that I felt and the hard times that were ahead. But I felt His love and I felt His strength through the power of His atonement, which I know His atonement is real. So time goes on, and my dad is still struggling. It's getting worse and worse, and as a couple weeks go on, it's getting worse and worse. And there was one night that changed it all. It was on April 16th, 2013, is the day that my dad decided to go into recovery. He had a change of heart. I can't say what it was exactly, but he had a change of heart and he went into recovery, and that changed him completely. He was in this recovery place for about 3 months, so we could only see him on Monday nights, and that was really rough for me and my siblings. My mom didn't want to see him yet, so we would just drive there. I remember my bishop would drive us, and we'd go and visit him, and that was really rough, but we could see that he was changing. And I remember when I was there one night at his recovery place, I could tell that he was truly changing, and he said a very heartfelt apology to me. And he was making his amends. And that's when I realized that my dad truly meant it, that he truly wanted to change. And he brought a testimony of the atonement of Jesus Christ, and that change is real. And so a couple months later, my parents talk, and they get back together, and things just go really, really well. And today, my family, they're all my best friends for what we went through. And it was a struggle, but it brought us closer together. And my father today, he now works and he helps people who struggle with drugs and alcoholism. And I know that it is by the atonement and by the grace of God that our family is together today. My family is a miracle. And so if there's anyone that is struggling with any sort of addiction or any family members that are going through an addiction, know that there is hope. It may not come right when you want it to come. For my family, it took 16 years. But it will come, I promise you, that the atonement of Jesus Christ can heal those wounds that are there. And I know that to be true with all my heart. And I'm very grateful for my Savior, Jesus Christ, and for what He has done for me.